Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys just watch random movies. And this is one of our mini episodes where we just talk about whatever movies we happen to be watching. And with me is the Robocop to my Terminator, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Saturn. How are you, Kyle?
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Well, I can't be stopped because I'm a Robocop. Hasta la vista. I'm the Terminator. How
I'm
come
doing.
we never got a Robocop versus Terminator movie?
I don't know. I think we talked about that last time, and I agree. We really need one.
I'll keep harping on it until it happens.
Make it happen.
We have the technology.
No, I'm doing good. Should we jump right into what we've been watching? What you're watching?
What you're watching, our mini episode where we just talk about what we're watching. So you go first since you probably have more than me.
I probably do. I've got a lot of repeats, but I've got a couple of new ones too. So, first one that I watched in the last couple of weeks was It Follows from 2014. This was a rewatch for me. I really like this because it's such a cool concept, and the score really gives me a John Carpenter vibe. And there's a lot of really great shots in this movie, and I mean, the premise is basically there's this killer sexually transmitted disease. Basically, you have sex with someone, and then you get this thing, and some creepy thing starts following you around, and it can be in the shape of whoever it wants to be, and you don't, and only you can see it, or someone else who has this disease. And then if it kills you, then it goes back to the next person who gave it to you, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of good creepy shots because you're like panning around and you don't know which one could be the thing. So good atmospheric horror movie. And then to complete the trilogy on a movie night with my family, we watched. I rented from DVD on DVD from Netflix. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Nice.
This was a good conclusion to the trilogy, and it was good to see Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter back. Alex Winter got back into it pretty good. Keanu Reeves was, I love Keanu Reeves, but he was almost even more wooden than he was back then doing this. Like, he didn't fall into it as well as Alex Winter did. But then Samara Weaving, and then I can't remember the other person who played the other daughter. They were both pretty good, but the one that I can't remember the name of, the brown-haired girl who played Keanu Reeves' daughter, was excellent in it. So she was a fun addition, and Samara Weaving's always fun to watch too. I like Samara Weaving, so it was a good movie.
Excellent.
Party time. Oh wait, that's yeah. If you like the first two movies, I would recommend it. As good as the first two, maybe not, but it is fun.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on. And then on HBO Max, I watched the 2019 Terrence Malick film, A Hidden Life. Okay. I've seen reviews of this. This is the thing that gets me about Terrence Malick, is like, you either don't like him or you consider him a genius. And for me, I've only watched a couple of his films, and I always give, like, every so many years, I give him a chance again, because there are some people that just think like he's the most genius filmmaker. And I watched A Hidden Life. Premise is, I think it's an Austrian couple towards the beginning of World War II. They live in this little farm country, 15 people in a village. They're just farming, doing their thing. He doesn't believe in Hitler and what he's doing. He thinks Hitler's a bad man, but this is right after they invaded France, and now they're recruiting Austrians and they're making them take an oath of loyalty to Hitler. And he decides not to and gets put in jail and eventually killed. Really simple plot. It was over 2 hours long, and just, there's some really gorgeous cinematography, but just so overlong. And there was, and I did see some, I literally saw some reviews where several people used the word genius. And I'm like, it's a very prettily shot movie about an Austrian who disobeys Hitler and the repercussions on his little village. Like, I don't know what's genius about that, unless there's some really, really hidden meaning in the movie that I didn't get. So I think it would have been a good story if it would have been about an hour and a half instead of over 2 hours.
I have an interesting relationship with Terrence Malick also. I haven't seen that many of his things. But I really like Badlands, and then I really like Days of Heaven. They're both really good, and Days of Heaven is only 90 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, like this was not a bad movie. It was just really overly long, and the story didn't call for it. So
But
I won't give up on Malick yet.
at least with a Terrence Malick movie, you know it's gonna be pretty.
Oh yeah, and there were some gorgeous shots in this one. So then on Pluto TV, I watched a movie from 1996 called Bound, the first Wachowski sibling movie.
Nice.
And boy, do I wish they would do more movies like this. Like they're known for The Matrix and Speed Racer and Cloud Atlas and Jupiter Ascending, all these huge ideas and like
Speed Racer's a masterpiece.
What's that?
Speed Racer's a masterpiece.
That might, now that I've seen Bound, that might be the only movie of theirs that I haven't seen.
You gotta watch it, man. It's a very good.
But
it's probably one of the best animated live action translations.
yeah, I enjoy the Wachowskis, even their bad movies. There's interesting ideas in there, so I'm excited. I will see Speed Racer sometime, but Bound, they've got all of these movies ever since Bound that are all these huge, big idea movies and everything. Bound is like almost a single location movie. It's Joey Pants works for the mob, and his girlfriend. He lives with his girlfriend, played by Jennifer Tilly. And then in the apartment next door, someone hires Gina Gershon to move into there and do a bunch of work, like painting and cleaning and all this stuff. And well, she's a lesbian, and her and Jennifer Tilly kind of fall for each other. And then they're going to steal money from Joey Pants and make it look like he stole money from the mob and then try and get away. And it's really well done and really tense in a lot of scenes. And I just, yeah, I wish they'd do more small, intimate films like this, because they did a great job on this one. And I'd highly recommend Bound. Another family movie night, we rented on Amazon Beetlejuice from 1988.
Nice.
So, I mean, it's Beetlejuice. It's Michael Keaton at his best.
It's Beetlejuice. Ah, he's there.
Oh, man. 3 times. So I don't know how much I have to say about that. There's been talks of remakes and sequels and all that stuff. If they don't have Michael Keaton doing it, I was talking to someone this week about it, and I was like, that's one of those movies where, a lot of really great movies can be remade. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But this is one where it's like, Beetlejuice is Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice. Like, he made the role. It's not the character made the role. Michael Keaton made that role. Mm-hmm. I just don't see Beetlejuice being done by anyone else. It's unlike someone like the Joker, where it's like, oh, you got all these different iterations and different people. That's great. But yeah, there's something unique about Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Amazon Prime, I watched a film from 1978. I watched the remake of The Big Sleep with what's his name from The Night Hunter. Was it Mitchum?
Robert Mitchum?
I think that's who it was. The Big Sleep. Yeah, it was kind of a big sleep. I think that like on Rotten Tomatoes, the original with Humphrey Bogart has like a 90% rating, but this one has like a 60%. So maybe I should go back and watch the original instead.
Mm-hmm.
This one was just one I saw it on Prime. I was like, okay, I'll check that one out. And it had a good cast. It had him. It had he plays Philip Marlowe, but it's set in the 70s now. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy Stewart plays an old man who's got, really wealthy, and he's getting blackmailed for something. And so he looks into it, and then, Oliver Reed is in it, and who else was in it? There's a couple of good actors in here. But it was kind of slowly paced, and mm-hmm. just didn't do it for me. And then on a Blu-ray disc, I recently installed a new receiver with Dolby Atmos surround on it.
Nerd.
And so I watched my John Wick disc, because
Nice.
the Blu-ray has Dolby Atmos on it. So we don't have to say much about this because Utah actually talked about this one last week, having watched it for the first, or
Mhm.
not for the first time, but you watched it. Yeah, it was pretty cool watching it with the new Dolby Atmos system. This was the first movie I tried out, so I noticed, like, it's great when you've got all the action going on, you got glass shattering all over you, all this stuff, but it's some of the more subtle stuff that's really cool where, in the beginning where he's at his wife's funeral and it's just pouring outside, when you get like the surround speakers and then also the height speakers, you really feel like you're standing in the rain with the sound all around you. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then another Blu-ray disc I watched was Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn
Heck yeah.
because it's a fun movie. I've talked about that one before too on another episode. Go watch it if you haven't. And then on Disney Plus, I watched Frozen 2 from 2019 because my daughters came to me the other day and they're like, I think they were listening to the soundtrack on our Alexa, and they're like, "Have you watched this yet?" I go, "No." They're like, "We love the soundtrack. We love that movie. It's been a year, Dad. Why haven't you seen it?" so
They
so
got you
that
there.
so that night I sat down and watched that on Disney Plus, and it's a good movie. And I think I like the first one better. This one had a more serious tone to it. They added a cute little lizard, which was adorable. But this one is basically Elsa learning more about where her powers came from and what happened to what happened to Elsa and Anna's parents, and it was a good movie. It was really weird because there was in the middle of the movie, it's got all the music because it's a Disney movie. Kristoff actually has a song, which he's actually a good singer in real life. He's been on, I think he was on Glee and everything, but then in the first
Mhm.
movie, he really didn't have any singing. So in this one, they gave him his own song, but they edited it into the movie, still animated, but it looked like an 80s music video.
Nice.
And I thought it was funny, but I'm going, this is really like out of place in here and really weird, but but still kind of interesting. So but yeah, that was a good movie. And then the last movie I watched was another rewatch from a couple of weeks ago. My friend from South Carolina was in Iowa and he stayed here and he had never seen Hacksaw Ridge. So I was like, well, I can test my Dolby Atmos some more because that Blu-ray has Atmos on it and we'll watch
Nice.
Hacksaw Ridge. And, I already talked about the movie itself, but yeah, this one was still cool because now, like, with your normal surround, you got like the bullets behind you and all that stuff. But now it's like you've got things flying overhead. And then when the bombs and stuff hit and the dirt just flies up in the air and it's like, falling around on the screen, you hear it like falling from the height speakers. So like it sounds like it's coming from above you. So yeah, it's been kind of fun watching some of these movies in Dolby Atmos. I gotta
Nice.
say, it may be nerdy, but I love surround sound, and so it's
Hey, I mean, those will last, so that's a worthwhile investment.
it really was because even TV shows I've noticed. I watched an episode of Lovecraft Country a couple days ago, and there was a scene where they were just standing in the street and you just and I know that you'll get this on surround too, which actually this was on HBO Max and that they have Dolby Atmos on there, but you have to have a certain players and stuff, and I don't have that, so it just came through regular surround. But this one, I feel like really juices up the sound better than my last receiver did because my last receiver was still a great receiver. It was like a Yamaha. But it was like one of those low range $600 Yamahas.
Hmm.
And this one, even with regular surround sound, it really amplifies it without drowning out the voices in the front. So it was kind of cool because like they were just talking in the street, but you hear like car noises in the background and people talking and milling about. And I don't feel like I got that as prominent with my last receiver, but maybe it's just a perceived thing. Maybe I spent enough money on it where it's like I'm like amplifying myself going, no, it sounds better.
Yeah.
but there definitely is a little better sound to it. So even on regular surround. But that's what I've been watching. Just a few rewatches and then a couple new ones.
Well, I'm glad that your new receiver is working, and it sounds like it's definitely a worthy investment.
Yeah, for someone who watches, a movie at least every other day, definitely worth it.
Oh yeah. So I guess we're gonna continue talking about John Wick because the first movie I watched was John Wick Chapter 2. John Goes to Rome.
What did you think of this one? I'm interested to hear what you thought of this one.
I thought it was, excuse me, a good continuation of the story. I enjoyed, once again, the action is always great. I really enjoyed the mood, and these movies are always very stylized and always fun. So it's kind of fun to sort of expand the basic world of the films and of sort of this vast underworld where everyone and your grandma is an assassin.
See, that's the one thing that I was like the first movie was a really cool almost single location shoot 'em up movie because I mean he'd go into just a couple different locations where gangster these mobsters or whatever assassins worked and lived and all that. But then the second movie, I was like, they really expanded on the mythology of the world, which I thought was really cool to get more into that and how it works. But then when they expanded out into New York and did they go to Rome in that one?
They go to Rome in the second one, yeah.
Yeah, and everywhere they go outside of the realm of these hotels where they stay at, and then they're just out in the city. Like at the end of the movie, when he's wandering through New York City, just the streets of New York City, literally everyone in all 80 million people in New York are assassins. I know that was an
Or is he
exaggeration.
just paranoid?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it got kind of silly with that, and then the the funny the funny scene that I thought was kind of humorous was when they were walking through what was it like a subway station or something, and they're
Mm-hmm.
discreetly shooting at each other. Was it Common was up on a platform walking and shooting down at him, and John Wick is shooting under his arm up at Common, and so I thought that was kind of fun, but.
I definitely really love I guess, the kind of mirror exhibit, Hall of Mirrors museum sequence.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
And the other thing I wasn't too fond of in that movie was what's her name? Something Rose or Ruby or
Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose. Boy, was she really wooden in this movie. I've seen her in a couple things where I'm like, okay, you're okay, but most things I see her in, I'm like, oh my god, you need to get some acting lessons because you're really wooden.
I thought she was fine because, she didn't have any dialogue, but I really liked, I thought she was really good with the body language and overall, obviously she was good with the stunts, and I enjoyed her. I thought she was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, people must like her. She's getting work, so.
Also, we got our Matrix reunion movie, Lawrence Fishburne
Oh yeah, yeah. That
as
was good.
the homeless king.
I know. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. So that was overall I enjoyed it. And yeah, still, where are my John Wick video games and where is my I want John Wick comics because that's definitely because they just established the world of, the High Table and the Continental. You could have a lot of fun with that even if it was just like an anthology comic book series.
Oh, I wouldn't even call it John Wick. Just make a Continental comic series and
Mhm.
just go off into all these different assassins' lives. I think the world itself could be really cool for, like you said, a video game or a comic book.
Mhm. Next I watched Happy Death Day,
Oh
which is
yes.
I missed this one when it was in theaters, just never got around to it. So I'm glad I finally saw it because it plays with it's really fun and very thoughtful and it plays with a lot of horror movie tropes, but then still feels like a slasher movie except the slasher victim is the same person every time.
Oh my god, I love the first Happy Death Day. The second
Mhm.
one is still good, and they actually pull off a sequel, and the way they do it is kind of cool, but not as good. But I absolutely love the first Death Day.
That one's definitely a lot of fun and just all sort of the creativity of all the different ways that she can die after she just
Yeah, and
it's
what's that
just
actress's
going
name in
over.
that?
I forget her name.
But she is perfect in that role.
Hmm.
Yeah, so definitely a good one.
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite sequences was, she does the Groundhog Day thing where like she does everything right for one day and then still wakes up in like in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's fun. It's kind of, there's a lot of stuff that it takes from Groundhog Day, because how can you not when you're doing a time loop movie? But
Hmm.
like when she does the whole, oh, I'm just going to start killing myself, in different ways. It's kind of fun, but I think she did a great job in the role. She really raised that movie to another level, even though the movie itself was still good. It
Hmm.
was actually still great, but like she raised it up even more.
Definitely, because it's she really it's still, despite being stuck in this insane situation and playing with these goofy horror movie tropes, it still felt like a very humanized,
Yeah.
that she a very grounded performance in that sense. You still felt like her emotions, whether it go from just like fear, exasperation, and just straight up anger towards the end of just
Oh yeah, when she started getting frustrated that she
yeah,
kept doing, like, and then she's just like, she'll wake up and she's like, ah.
I'm still here.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I watched John Wick Chapter 3.
This was fun, kind of like a boss level movie where like he's just going up the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel finale was a lot of fun. Just seeing like him and then the concierge and then Winston just like, all right, yeah, whatever.
I loved all the people that fought him are like, oh, I am so honored to get to fight you, John Wick. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
I'm probably gonna die, but oh, it's gonna be the best death ever.
What'd you think of the adjudicator? I thought they were pretty cool.
Which one was that? What?
That was the person going around like, listen, John Wick broke the rules. You need to go after him. Or like they were the person that was always actually played by a non-binary actor. So and that was the character who was going around always kind of wheeling and dealing, sort of like a representative of the high table.
Oh
That
yeah.
was the one who's like, all right, Winston, your privileges have been revoked. Or just like, all right, your privileges are back again.
Yeah, I I need to watch it again because I'm not picturing the character, but it's been a while since I watched it. But I just remembered the whole, like you said, the last half of the movie where he's just kind of going through the levels and fighting all these different people, and all of them are so like happy to get to fight him. And
Yeah, I kind of like how it goes from sort of the Die Hard versus like the Schwarzenegger school of action movies, so like the Bruce Willis school where it's like, he gets through it, but he survives barely. So
yeah,
like by the end he's just beat to crap, as opposed to, Schwarzenegger, which is also fun where it's like pure power fantasy where there's barely a scratch on him by the end of the action movie.
yeah. Well, and then it was also cool when he's being chased through like New York, and like they're in a stable and he uses a horse to kill a man, which
Yeah.
so no, that's a I think I liked number three. I think I liked number two the least,
Mhm.
and then three got back to form. I think, and got back to what I liked a lot about number one.
And plus, I really did like the the fight sequences that he did when he was with Halle Berry when she had a fun like 30
Oh yeah,
minutes in the movie.
I kind of forgot she was in that, but yeah, now I
Like,
remember it was like her apartment or something like that, wasn't
yeah,
it?
they played off each other really well,
Yeah.
and then it was fun when they like when she like in was like shooting and killing, and then also like her dogs helped.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she had the dogs, didn't she?
Yeah, and there was really fun action sequences involving the dogs. Like, yes, who's a good doggy? Who's a good doggy? Kill the bad guy. You're a good doggy.
Yeah, it was definitely better than two, and got back up to the level of the first
Mhm.
movie.
I hope there's kind of more like I think the idea of like having some celebrities come in for like a couple scenes.
That'd be
I like
fun.
that idea in the series. So with John Wick Chapter 4, because this one ended on a cliffhanger too.
Yeah.
For one, I want to see Lawrence Fishburne in action one last time as Morpheus go full Matrix.
Yeah.
And then two, I also want to see someone you wouldn't see. I want to see like Patton Oswalt Action Man or just Patton. I want to see him do like some fun action sequences
That'd be
with
cool.
playing off Keanu. And then I also realized, so there's going to be a bit of a story behind this last review, is that I'm not sure if you can see, but in my basement, which is where I'm recording, I just realized I have a stack of Criterion Collection Blu-rays. About most of them are still in shrink.
Are you working through them?
I'm gonna trying to start working through them. The first one I went, which is a rewatch for me, but I hadn't seen in a long time, was Rebecca, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And so I had recently read a book called Phantom Lady about Joan Harrison, and she was the producer who worked very closely with Alfred Hitchcock up through, I think, around this movie and Foreign Correspondent afterwards, where she was kind of the person that made Hitchcock Hitchcock, because how so it was really interesting to read that book and then kind of go back and see this movie and just kind of see how her influence as a producer really helped shape sort of his directorial style and also a lot of the story choices they made. And this one in particular, since, this one is arguably the two main characters are both, women. Well, three main characters if you count Rebecca, who we never see. And then we've got the second Mrs. De Winter, who is actually played by Joan Fontaine, who does a great job, but then she never actually gets a first name. It's always just the second Mrs. De Winter throughout the entire film, even in the credits.
Hmm.
And then her husband, Lawrence of Olivier, but he's more of a side player, and it's really the sort of the main housekeeper,
Okay.
who's sort of
I haven't seen
the lead.
I haven't seen Rebecca before.
It's fun because it takes place. There's this really big, elegant mansion, but there is a different kind of suspense as opposed to something like North by Northwest, which is very action heavy. This one is a smaller, but also definitely more into like I want to say paranoia, a different kind of fear, just more unsettling than say straight action. Like she's not running from a plane in a cornfield or anything, but it's still very good, more of a character piece, but still awesome overall. Still feels like Alfred Hitchcock.
Cool.
And that's all I had. So, what do you want? What are you going to watch next?
That's a good question. I'm not even sure this time around what I've got coming up here. I think the DVD I got from the last DVD I got from Netflix is a police drama called The Glass Shield. And I think it's got Ice Cube in it.
Nice.
So I got that sitting on the shelf right now from Netflix.
I got a DVD from the library of Predator, so I've never seen Predator.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, with
Oh,
Arnie and the gang.
you're in for a treat with that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm due for a rewatch on that one. It's been a long time, but that's fun. That's good macho filmmaking there.
Hmm.
Get to the chopper now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess with all that said and done, you can follow us on Twitter.
And we could be assassins.
We could be assassins. You never know.
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
I'm at AwesomeKM, and we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. You can email us at We Don't Know What to Watch at Gmail, and hit the like button, comment below, all that stuff. Yada yada yada. Smash it.
And if I was an assassin, I think my gimmick would be just like a pro wrestler / assassin.
I,
What would your
I
assassin gimmick be by John Wick rules?
I just want to throw marbles on the ground and have people trip and hit their head on things.
Nice. That's great.
Until next time, watch out for those marbles and keep on watching.
Mm-hmm.